Okay, well, it is 8 o'clock and I am going to get started. And I'm not sure. Oh, good. There's a couple people on. So we're going to go ahead and get started. It's 8 o'clock, and I know that all of you have very busy schedules. So I just want to make sure we keep on track. I'm probably going to keep this definitely under an hour. So we'll go ahead and get started. So this is off-season nutrition for athletes, and I want to thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join me for this webinar. I think it's a very important topic, and I have a lot to cover. I'm going to give overviews of each thing that I'll cover in my next slide of what everything we'll cover, but we're going to go ahead and just start right off. So my name is Courtney Benedict. Some of you on this webinar know me as Courtney Fulton. I recently got married last October, and my company is Whole Wellness for Life. So it is a health coaching business, and recently I added triathlon coaching to my business as well. I'm branding myself as a holistic tri coach, and I'll talk to you a little bit about what that means later on in the webinar. But a little bit of my background with triathlon and nutrition health coach training. I'm an Ironman certified coach. I'm an American Council on Exercise health coach and integrative nutrition health coach. So the last 2 years, I actually took some time off from triathlon training, and I just needed a break. My body needed a break. I got involved with going to my nutrition school. So that was a year-long training. And then I opened my business, my side business, Whole Wellness for Life. And then last year was very busy planning for my wedding. So I'm ready to get back into things with both training and with coaching others in the sport of triathlon and also with nutrition. They're both my passions. This year, I'm also going to be finishing up my sports nutritionist certification and USAT level 1 certification. So a little bit about my triathlon background, so you know where I'm coming from as an endurance athlete with my experience. I'm a former DC Tri-Snapple team member. I was on that team for 4 years. I've been in the DC Tri Club, gosh, I think since 2006. So it's been a long time. I'm very passionate about that club. Wonderful, met so many wonderful triathletes and friends through the club. I've done 4 Ironmans and also completed the 70.3 World Ironman Championships. So I want to start talking about how I got into health coaching and what brought me into helping others. I came from some struggles, and just basically over the years I've worked as a wellness fitness coordinator in all different types of settings. It's always been my passion. I went to school for health promotion. My master's is in health promotions management. I worked in gyms, hospitals, insurance companies, universities, government sites, and finally, now for 10 years, I've been working as a health and safety specialist at the International Association of Firefighters. So that is my full-time job. So being a marathoner and triathlete for many years, I often had the mindset of, oh, I can eat whatever I want because I'll just burn it off tomorrow. And I hear this so many times from athletes all over, and it is true. I know a lot of very fit, very speedy triathletes who they pretty much, I just see their pictures on Facebook, the stuff that they're eating, and it's kind of crazy that they act like they feel great, and I hope that they can continue on doing so well. But unfortunately, if you let your nutrition go, these types of things can happen that I'm going to talk about that happened to me. It caught up with me having this mentality. I was exhausted all the time. I had low energy. I consistently experienced that 3 o'clock afternoon crash at work. I was always reaching for soda was my go-to in the afternoon to get the caffeine and to get that sugar uplift. But what happened is I wasn't sleeping well through the night. I had heartburn all the time. My allergies were the worst they had ever been. And then about 3 years ago, a friend of mine invited me to a seminar called eating clean in a processed world. And this seminar totally opened up my eyes to a completely new way of eating and thinking about what I put in my body. So at this seminar, I was sitting down next to a holistic doctor, a nutritionist, who asked me why I decided to attend the seminar. And I told her about some of the problems I was having. She gave me her card, and I actually ended up working with her for about 12 weeks. This experience was truly an investment in my health. I believe those 12 weeks transformed my life. I learned that my body had been in a constant state of stress for a very long time. My hormones and glands were pretty messed up. And this in turn was causing some of my sleep and energy issues. So my diet was not horrible, but it definitely was not great. And even though I did have my nutrition and wellness education, I didn't take enough time to plan out my meals and make sure I was getting the proper nutrition I needed. And most of you on here are triathletes, and as you know, we're on the go all the time. We have very busy schedules, and it's easy to just reach for those processed, quick, on-the-go foods. So, some of these things might have been lower in fat and calories, but the long list of ingredients with names that I couldn't pronounce definitely did not serve me well. So what I did during this 12-week program was I learned how to eat clean and basically detox my body. I crowded out sugar. It reduced my cravings. I added more superfoods to my diet and became more in tune with eating whole, real foods. So it was kind of crazy. I gave the inside of my cabinets and refrigerator a complete overhaul. And guess what? I started sleeping through the night. I stopped having those afternoon crashes at work, and my energy levels went up, my allergies improved, and I just felt like a whole new person. So I truly believe the old adage, you are what you eat. And after this transformation, my mind felt clearer, my body felt clean, and in turn, I became a happier, more positive person and just more rejuvenated. So going through this process is what fueled my passion for helping others with their health and wellness goals. And this is why I decided to go through my journey of becoming a health coach and further my education with a more holistic approach to nutrition by becoming an integrative nutrition health coach through the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. As I mentioned, this year I'm adding triathlon coaching services to my business and branding myself as a holistic triathlon coach. So I've gone through my own struggles trying to find time to balance everything with life, training, spending time with my now husband, and socializing. And it's tough, but now that I've been through it, I want to help others create that balance in their lives and still be successful. So I specialize in coaching triathletes at the 70.3 and Ironman distances. I'm an Ironman certified coach and will be, as I mentioned, completing a couple other certifications. I also follow Ben Greenfield and going through his superhuman coach certification. And it's a lot about of a holistic approach. So now that you know a little bit about me, let's get into it. For today, I'm going to go over the importance of proper nutrition and fueling your body for performance, nutrition periodization, metabolic efficiency, and then finally, clean eating for athletes, what that means, what that is, and how to find out what truly works for your body. Now, before we move on, I want to read my mission statement and talk a little bit about my approach to nutrition, training, and wellness. I empower triathletes how to take a holistic approach to training and nutrition so they can achieve optimal performance without neglecting work, family, life, and health. So you might be wondering, what the heck is a holistic approach? That word gets thrown around a lot, and I'm going to explain what it means to me and why I'm branding myself as a holistic coach. So holistic approach. Right here, I'm showing you a little bit different version of the MyPlate, the government MyPlate that you might be used to seeing. And this is the integrative nutrition. It's trademarked, the integrative nutrition plate. And this plate emphasizes the importance of local and organic produce, whole grains, high quality proteins, plant-based fats, and water. So you see in the corner there, you've got water instead of dairy. That is on the government MyPlate. But the reason why dairy is not on here is because actually a lot of people are fine. I know a lot of people are fine with dairy, but the government really overemphasizes the need for dairy. And did you happen to know that we're the only mammals that consume dairy after infancy? When I found that out, I knew it, but I didn't really think about it in that context. And we don't really need dairy to get our calcium. The main thing is that dairy tends to contain a lot of refined sugars and in the US, hormones and antibiotics. So you can get calcium in many plant-based foods or nut milks. It doesn't have to come strictly from dairy. But this plate shows how a plate should appear at mealtime and emphasizes the importance of proportions and portion size. And to complete the picture around the plate, you'll see the plate surrounded with lifestyle factors that create optimal health. And this is your career, relationships, physical activity, spirituality. The other great thing that's on this plate is the fats and oils, and that's the healthy fats and oils, which is very, very important to anyone, even if you're not an athlete. So bio-individuality is next, and the concept of bio-individuality is that each person has his or her own food and lifestyle needs. So I don't preach one certain type of diet, and when I say diet, I mean more of a lifestyle, not restrictive caloric diets. There's so many out there. We study so many dietary theories in school, but basically, one person's food is another person's poison, and that's why food diets the fad diets that some people go on tend to fail in the long run. So working on the principle of bio-individuality, it just helps support you in making positive changes that are based on your unique needs, not someone else's, your lifestyle, your personal preferences and background. So it's instead of prescribing one fix for all people, I use a more personalized, holistic approach based on people's needs. And then finally, primary food. So primary food, it's easy to overlook all the things that contribute to our sense of nourishment and fulfillment. And it's not just the food we eat, but all the other factors present in our daily lives. So we've got looking at healthy relationships, a fulfilling career, regular physical activity, and the spiritual awareness. They're very essential forms of nourishment. So when these primary foods are balanced, what you eat becomes secondary. So I want you to think of nutrition as the fourth discipline. Unfortunately, sometimes nutrition can kind of go by the wayside, but it really is a part of triathlon training, the fourth discipline. And during a race, if you don't provide your engine with the right the right fuel, you're not going anywhere fast, and your choices may lead to the notorious bonk or GI distress. The nutrition choices made before, during, and after training and races can either make or break a race performance. So learning how to select the right fuels and fluids at the right time takes practice and requires knowledge of sports nutrition principles. A training plan itself can be pretty straightforward, but selecting and tailoring one's specific nutritional needs for the day can be a bit of an overwhelming task. There's just so much information out there, and it can be very confusing about what, when, and how much nutrition is appropriate. So I'm hoping to give you some information tonight that will help you with that. So I want you to think of food as fuel. Sports nutrition is based on the digestion, absorption, and assimilation of energy stored in food, as well as the way the body uses that food to produce the energy needed for physical work. So food is the body's source of energy, and it's found in three types of macronutrients: carbohydrates, fat, and protein. When you're fueling your body properly, it will help you with the following that you see here. So you get the proper nutrients and minerals for performance and recovery, improve your athletic performance, increase energy, reduce cravings, reduce inflammation and food allergies, strengthen your immune system, help with digestive issues, sleep better, and improve skin and long-term weight loss. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about nutrition periodization. Nutrition periodization supports the body's energy needs with varying training load shifts in order to optimize physical training performance. I'm going to show you a graph in the next slide that will go over exactly what this looks like, but you can think of it as training periodization as well. They both go together. So your eating program should support your training so that you're able to train efficiently and effectively to enhance your health and improve your performance. Your macronutrient intake, the carbs, proteins, and fats that I talked about, must support your body's energy needs as they change with the varying training volume and intensity stressors in your training program throughout the year. If you approach your training sessions with adequate fuel and hydration stores, you will see physical benefits. So there's certain times with nutrition and training periodization when it is best to manipulate your body weight and composition. And I'll discuss this more in the preparation phase slide, but pretty much right now, a lot of us are in that coming off of the off season. I titled this off season, but I know that we're transitioning more into that preparation stage. And now is definitely the time when you want to hone in on your nutrition. This is the time you want to experiment with what your training, fueling your nutrition during that, and also kind of figuring out really what works for you. It's the time to get back to your racing weight. So what happens is you want to improve your blood sugar and insulin control. So eating nutrient-dense foods versus caloric-dense foods. Your very high carb intake triggers insulin release by the pancreas. So what this leads to is insulin resistance. And an example of this is when an athlete consistently eats sports nutrition bars or bars that have high sugar throughout the day that are rather than whole food snacks or meals that contain the healthy fats and proteins that your body needs. So your body just is getting all the sugar throughout the day. So the key really is to improve carb and fat utilization and improve that insulin sensitivity. I'll talk a little bit more about this in the metabolic efficiency section as well. So Bob Seebohar, he writes books about nutrition periodization. I love his motto. His motto is eat to train, don't train to eat. And I can't count how many times I've heard athletes, I used to say it as well, how many times athletes just say that they're training to eat more. So going back to what I stated in my story, this is what the mentality I used to have, I admit it. And, it's true. We need more calories as we get into our competition phase, but it's very, very important to our training, health, and body, the type of calories we're putting in our bodies, how we can fuel for optimal performance. This chart here shows the nutrition periodization cycles. And just like your training plan, nutrition periodization consists of the macro cycles, mesocycles, and microcycles. So first, let's just start at the top, the macro cycle. That's your year-round nutrition principles. The mesocycle, as you can see here, is the training phase in an annual plan, and it usually consists of 3 to 6 microcycles and refers to the main training target for that particular period. So you've got the preparation, which a lot of us are starting to get into now, your competition, and then your transition phases. So let's start with the microcycle. The microcycle is structured according to the objectives, volume, and intensity of the specific phase in the training plan they fall within. So that's the actual training week within each mesocycle. Your nutrition will vary based on what cycle you're in. And let's go ahead and take a look at the preparation phase. So the preparation phase, during this phase, the focus is on building your endurance base and strength. Your exercise intensity is typically low and moderate. And as the phase progresses, the volume and intensity increases. This results in significant changes in carbohydrate requirements. So some of you may, as I mentioned, may still be in your off season, and a lot of you starting into this preparation phase. And this is definitely the phase when it's best to focus on weight loss. You don't want to really focus on that weight loss when you're in that competition phase, because you're right now is the time to focus on that fat loss and getting back into your racing weight if you've gained some weight during the off season. This chart here, I'm sorry, it's a little small to read, but I'll talk you through it. The chart here is it's adapted from Sports Nutrition for Endurance Athletes, but they also had this in our Ironman coaching program. And real quick to go through here, what it's showing you is for training sessions, is giving you moderate training through your very heavy training, how many grams of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Now, these are just suggestions. Obviously, each person, it's going to be different, and you figure that out as you go along. But these are just some ranges for you. So for training sessions less than 1 hour, or for low intensity training sessions, athletes should follow the fat and carbohydrate recommendations at the lower end of the range for moderate training level in this table. So you can see here that carbohydrate range would be 2.3 grams per pound or 5 grams per kilogram. Now, when training sessions progress to more than 2 hours per day, athletes may benefit from following the carbohydrate and fat recommendations in the middle range of the moderate training level. And you can see the different grams that are shown. And then finally, during the end of the preparation phase, as your volume of exercise increases, athletes may need to increase this intake to the heavy training level. So these are adjustments in carbohydrate intake, also include the carbohydrates consumed during exercise. Protein, you can see the daily protein intake for most triathletes is approximately 0.5 to 0.8 grams per pound, depending on the triathlete's body composition goals. For example, athletes who are seeking weight loss may consider a slightly higher protein intake of 0.8 to 0.9 grams per pound to improve satiety and offset loss of fat-free mass. Athletes who are actively building lean mass would consume these high protein amounts as well. Let's go on to the competition phase. During the competition phase for endurance athletes, the volume and intensity of exercise will continue to rise and fluctuate based on the athlete's competition schedule. So for more advanced athletes, this focus may be on power and speed. Most athletes start this phase with carb, protein, and fat recommendations for moderate training level on lower days. When you're getting into the heavier training levels on higher volume training days, obviously as the phase progresses, when the length of the training session is greater than 4 hours of moderate to high intensity, endurance athletes may benefit from following the carb recommendations for the very heavy training levels. So let's take a look at the table real quick here. This is the competition phase, and these higher carbohydrate amounts ensure that protein is not utilized for energy, whether from the diet or that's stored in the muscle. So since higher amounts of carbohydrates will be consumed, protein intake may decrease slightly for some athletes. And into the transition phase. So the transition phase can take place at the end of the racing season. It might take place in the middle of the season, depending on how many key races that you have. Because you'll need to get that. Sometimes you need a break in between those training for key races. So the recommendations here vary based on the level of exercise. For athletes who are still training but at a lower volume and intensity, the macronutrients needs are reduced to moderate training levels in this table. This just reflects the reduced energy expenditure. And this is the graph real quick here. So athletes who are using this period as the off season may only need to consume the recommendations at the lower range of moderate training. Athletes who are increasing the volume of strength training sessions may benefit from a slightly higher protein intake, noted as the strength training phase in the table. If this is going a little bit too fast for the chart, just keep in mind that you can review this again in the recording if you would like. So let's move on to metabolic efficiency. Metabolic efficiency is how efficient the body is at utilizing stores of carbohydrates and fats at different intensities and durations of exercise at rest. So what you're doing here is teaching the body to burn more fat. It seems like a lot of talk has been going on in the triathlete world about metabolic efficiency. There is a time and place for it, and there is a right and wrong way to do it. So I'm just going to go over a little bit more about that. And this is a component of an athlete's overall nutrition periodization program. It consists really of blood sugar optimization. So metabolic efficiency goals are to decrease the risk of GI stress. So there's less reliance on supplemental carbohydrates. The more efficient we are at burning fat, the more we can preserve our limited carbohydrate stores, and the longer and faster we can go before we have to introduce sports supplements. So this is the metabolic efficiency training process. So what we're doing here is training the body to increase fat utilization. The body actually has approximately 80,000 calories stored as fat, and between 1,400 and 2,000 calories stored as carbohydrate. And this makes fat a huge resource. So once your glycogen or your carbohydrate stores are empty, fat is metabolized into fuel. It's albeit very slowly and inefficiently, hence the dreaded bonk that we hear about or have maybe experienced. So fat is a great energy source, and as long as you have glycogen or supplemental sports nutrition along with it, it's a great source of energy. So along with the performance benefits, metabolic efficiency training improves body composition and body weight. It lowers our triglyceride levels, stabilizes our blood sugars, and improves lipid profile. So it can create a better aerobic engine for us. Improving nutrition partitioning for energy use. So nutrition partitioning is the process by which the body decides what to do with the energy that we get from our diet. When you eat something, the nutrients are either burned, of course, or they're stored for future use. So ideally, you'll like all these storage nutrients to be partitioned to muscles as opposed to body fat. And then finally, metabolic efficiency helps body weight and composition, and also helps with hormonal control. So it resets the body's ability to burn fat, and also research sensitivity to insulin, our circadian rhythm, and leptin. Leptin is a conversion of sugar to fat, and this can result into hyperglycemia, which is actually leptin resistance. So leptin is our primary appetite regulating hormone, and we actually become insensitive to our body's cries to stop eating or feel full when this is going on. So the result is you get those cravings, you get carbohydrate cravings, and then that leads to weight gain. So this is one of my favorite topics, and I've been gathering information from triathletes and friends on what are some more natural or more clean products that they train with. I use most of these that are listed here, and some of them I'm going to start experimenting with in this new year. But these are some clear products that are out there to help an endurance athlete with training and recovery. So sports products like Gatorade and Powerade, just to name a few, are filled with excessive sugar, some with high fructose corn syrup, artificial flavors, artificial sugars, dyes. They're just not good for us. They spike the insulin, and they shut down the majority of fat burning and store fat. So the problem with fructose, which is, you'll see it as the #1 ingredient in a lot of sports nutrition drinks or gels that are out there, but fructose is digested in the intestines, and this results in a delayed absorption and byproducts. The byproduct is triglycerides and lactic acid, and that's not good. So I just want to start out with these products here are actually have more of the glucose in them rather than the fructose. So Osmo is the first one. Osmo hydration products, they're specifically developed to optimize hydration. It may seem simple, but the sugars in a sports drink have a big impact on how fluid is absorbed. And that's what I was talking about a little bit with the fructose. So 2 sugars are better than 1. And the combination of sucrose and glucose, which is the proprietary ratio found in Osmo Active, is shown to be best for maximizing fluid absorption. So a little bit more about that. I don't want to spend too much time on each one, but I think this is really important when you're trying to figure out what type of nutrition to train with. Of key interest from a formulation standpoint with Osmo is that too much carbohydrate in a drink will delay gastric emptying. The combination of the glucose and sucrose has been shown to stimulate sodium and fluid absorption in the intestinal cells. There's been some studies that have shown that glucose-only solutions slow the rate of gastric emptying, whereas maltodextrin promotes the most carbohydrate absorption with low fluid absorption. So basically what happens is fructose can cause some issues. Small amounts of fructose can be tolerated, but when you consume a fructose-glucose or fructose-glucose malto, that's a tongue twister, mix, you're dumping way too much fructose into the small intestines, and the body responds like it does with maltodextrin. It pulls more water into the small intestines and out of the blood. So basically, this is what can cause the GI distress during races or the bonks that may have occurred. The next one on this list is Scratch Labs, and that one is similar to Osmo. It's also got the glucose in it as well, and it has a little bit of real sugar paired with sodium to enhance the rate of water absorption, again, through the small intestines. The next one is the Vega Sport Recovery and Gel. So this is a clean plant-based fuel. They have gels, they have Sport Electrolyte Hydrator, they have recovery drinks, and they also have a new product I saw just recently. They announced is a clean energy sports drink. I haven't specifically tried that one, but I do use the recovery and the gels, and they're great. The next product, glucose. This one I'm very excited about. I've been looking into it. I haven't used it. I'm getting it soon, but it was just named the official Rock and Roll Marathon Series for the gel and gummy provider, and it provides instant energy with glucose, which is absorbed in the body immediately. It's a very clean product, so I'm looking forward to trying that this year. RacePak. They're a small company that provides a lot of the stuff that they have on their site. You can find at like Whole Foods or some other stores like that, but they're always doing research on what's new out there, and they used to have some coupons to get like a trial pack. So they just send you a trial pack that has a bunch of more clean products to train with. UCAN is the next one, and that one is something I'm also going to be playing around with this year. It's a slow release super starch. It doesn't cause the insulin spike and create the blood sugar roller coaster like most drinks do. And some athletes have found that UCAN works well for them as a breakfast before a long 3 or 4 hour workout, so like a bike or run. And then they'll use 1 to 2 bottles of it mixed with water during the workout, plus another bottle of plain water. The thing with UCAN is that you really do need to practice with it, and it works best when your body is in more of a metabolic efficiency zone there. And then finally, the last one you might not have heard of because it's pretty new, Trucy. It's actually a company that I work with now. It's a premium organic nutrition, and they also have skincare. But they have excellent products that can be used for recovery and breakfast or in breakfast smoothies. And the reason why I decided to go with Trucy to just have a very clean, healthy product to offer to clients. You can look at their website and just look at the ingredients, and it speaks for itself. It's all real food. It's vegan, it's raw. It doesn't contain any additives, any preservatives, and the list goes on and on and on of what it doesn't include. And what it does include are freeze-dry vegetables, fruits, pre-probiotics. So for example, the True Fuel is an advanced complete plant-based protein with a full spectrum of amino acids. And I know a lot of people want to know how much protein. It has 22 grams of protein. The True Green is a superfood blend that provides over 70 different raw greens, superfoods, microgreens, pre and probiotics, and plant-based protein. And then finally, one of my very, very favorite products is it's called True Blend. It's a vegan oil blend that provides the perfect balance of omega-3, 6, and 9s. So the reason why I really like this is because a lot of the fish oil that's out there, obviously if you're vegan, you wouldn't use that, but it's rancid. And then just by time it actually gets into your body, it's been in that capsule for months, and it's just not really the best way to get your omega-3s. So moving on, this is just an example of something I found in, I think it was the Paleo for Athletes book. Make your own recovery drink. Very easy to do. Depending on your weight, 16 to 24 ounces of fresh fruit juice, and that's true fruit juice, not the added sugar. So the best kinds would be apple, grapefruit, orange, and pineapple, because they have the electrolyte contents. And next you want to add a fruit. So the ones that are listed here: apple, banana, blueberries, grapes, orange, peaches, pineapple, raspberries, the berries, watermelon. They're excellent to add because they're good sources of magnesium, calcium, and potassium that our body needs after working out. Finally, or next, you add 4 tablespoons of glucose, 2 to 4 tablespoons of protein powder. This is also based on your weight. And then 1/4 of a teaspoon of sea salt. Himalayan sea salt is best. So that's one example. There are many different ways you can make your own recovery drink. Some people like to add in almond milk or some type of nut milk for a little bit creamier, smoother taste. And then I know, let's see, I think it's Brendan Brazier in his one of his books. He has some great recipes for making even your own gel. So if you're up to doing that, that's something that you can do to make sure and guarantee that you have a fresh, clean source of nutrition to use on your workout. So a state of emergency. So what happens when the body does not have the right fuel? We crash and burn. And some of the things we experience, you see here: mood swings, immune system goes down, poor athletic performance, brain fog, and your brain and body deserve to be fueled and not inflamed. So it's actually estimated that 90% of all serotonin in the body is made in the digestive tract. And this is why there's such a huge mind-gut correlation. What happens when we crash and burn? You can get adrenal fatigue, which is something that I experienced a couple years ago. Not to the extreme. I caught it early enough, luckily. I know a couple of people who have gone through it, and it's not good. You have to completely just take time off from doing any type of activity. And finally, that leads me to clean eating and the importance of clean eating. So with all the chemicals and pollutants that we are exposed to through the food we eat, the water we drink, the products we use, the air we breathe, the question is no longer if we are toxic. The real question is, how toxic are we? So these toxins disrupt the pH balance in our bodies. This causes pain and inflammation, the digestive issues, and even disease. So the foods you put in your body have a direct correlation to your happiness, your health, and digestion. So another thing I want to point out too is research has found that 70% of our immune system is in our gut. So that's why it's so important to have a healthy gut. And in a couple of slides here, I'm going to talk a little bit about probiotics, because I think they're such an important supplement that athletes should have in their daily routine. So the benefits of clean eating to reduce inflammation. Clean eating balances your blood sugar levels. That's how you get into your fat burning mode, your metabolic efficiency that I talked about. You'll lose weight and just eat real food. And if you're clean eating, it can really help improve your performance. So this is where I just want to quick talk about what I'm offering for athletes. I do have a solution. So I have a winter clean eating program for athletes, and I've been running this program for 1.5 years now. I have worked with a couple pro triathletes, a couple runners, and then people who aren't athletes. So I run this program as a group, or I've run it as a group a couple times, and I'm running this specific program for athletes as a group this time around. What I've been using it for, a couple pro triathletes that I've worked with, I worked with them on an individual basis, and I figured out that that's the true population that I like to work with, because we do, as athletes, we have special needs, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what is all involved. So what you can expect with this program is you get your body to burn more fat. now, as I mentioned, is the time to get back into racing weight and get into that metabolic efficiency. What happens when you go through a program like this? You increase your energy levels, you improve your digestion, you strengthen your immune system, which is so important. We put so much stress on our bodies, and yeah, we may be, very healthy, but we can't help it. So much stress on our body affects our immunity. So also, when you're eating clean, you improve your sleep. It's really crazy. When I went through this program for the very first time 3 years ago, I was amazed at how I was finally sleeping through the night without waking up every hour and feeling refreshed for the next day. So you'll be provided simple tools that you can do in the privacy of your home. You'll learn what foods work for your body, for training, recovery, and just everyday life. And then finally, you'll learn about key supplements for athletes. And just some of them that I listed here are the probiotics, which I'll talk about: magnesium, vitamin D, C, and B12, calcium, omega-3, and as I mentioned before, it's not from rancid fish oil, trace minerals, real food multivitamin, and powdered greens. So since I mentioned probiotics, and I think it's a very important topic, I just wanted to stick in a quick slide here about prebiotics and probiotics. So prebiotics and probiotics both have a positive health effects on the digestive system. They restore the balance of bacteria in the digestive tract. So prebiotics, they're pretty much the food for probiotics. They're indigestible food ingredients that stimulate the growth of beneficial microorganisms in the intestines. So they're food for the good bacteria in the gut. And what they do is nourish the probiotics to work and to help them grow. And then the probiotics are the good bacteria. They are the microorganisms that provide health benefits when consumed. When we have a good positive balance of good bacteria, the bad bacteria are less able to produce problems in your system. So probiotics have a synergistic effect when they're used with the prebiotics. So I mentioned, yes, as athletes, we're very healthy, but we're putting that physical stress of both training and racing on our bodies. It wears down your immune system. And this adversely affects not only your well-being, but your ability to train and compete. So because of the stress, it's not then a matter of if you will get sick, but it's a matter of when. And by adding probiotics to your body, you can actually improve your immunity. There is new research on probiotics that focuses on the beneficial effects for athletes. And the reason athletes put themselves at risk for impaired immunity is due to the intensity and duration of all the exercise that we're doing. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about the high intensity, the longer duration of exercise. What happens is it's a diversion of blood away from your gut when you're going through this strain on your body. So the decreased blood and oxygen supply to the gut results in insufficient removal of the toxins. So the toxins ultimately lead to a large amount of the inflammation. During this period of increased inflammation and leaky gut, the body's immunity is weakened. So there are also other factors that can affect our immunity, including, the stress in our lives, work, travel, poor diet, alcohol, and poor sleep. But studies show that athletes taking probiotics experience fewer upper respiratory tract infections and GI complaints. So this, allowing us what we do best. The bottom line is less fatigue and fewer sick days equals more training and better performance. And that's what brings me to this slide. Sound Probiotics is a company that I was introduced to a couple months ago, actually from one of a pro triathlete that I was working with. And we were talking about probiotics, and I was asking her if she uses probiotics. And another athlete friend of hers told her about Sound Probiotics. So I've been using probiotics throughout the last few years, trying out different kinds. And I was so pumped when she told me about this because I haven't really been able to find a good one that has both prebiotics and probiotics. So I reached out to Sound Probiotics over the holidays. They're actually originally from Iowa, which is really cool. That's where I'm from. The owners live in Minneapolis now. but I asked if they had any ambassador opportunities, and they loved what I was doing, and they asked me to be one of their ambassadors. So I am now an ambassador for Sound Probiotics, and I emailed them just today asking if there was anything I could offer to people who are on this webinar. So if you are interested in wanting to try out Sound Probiotics, go check out their website. The website's listed here. It's soundprobiotics.com. And if you decide that it's something that is for you, you can use the code that they provided me to give to you all. And it's Courtney10, and you can get a 10% discount off your first order. So I thought that was pretty cool that they offered that. So real quick, we're almost done here, but I want to review what's all involved in the Winter Clean Eating Program for athletes. It's broken down into 3 phases. So the first phase is the pre-cleanse, I call it. And don't get scared off by the word cleanse or detox. They kind of all go together. But the pre-cleanse is basically designed to gradually decrease some of the inflammatory foods in your diet. If you were to just, and I've tried this before, I tried to just cut out coffee and sugar and all of, alcohol, gluten all at once, it didn't feel very good. So the first 4 days are really to kind of gradually get rid of some of those inflammatory foods. And then the phase 2, so the first phase starts January 25th is the launch date. And then the phase 2, the start of the 14-day program. The cleanse phase is 7 days. So that's really when you get into deep cleaning of your cells, when you're getting your body more from going into that sugar-based metabolism into more of a fat-burning metabolism, which is that metabolic efficiency mode. And this program is based on an elimination diet. If you're not familiar with that, an elimination diet is after you've taken some of these types of foods. And when I say foods, I'm not talking about macronutrients. You're still getting the proper carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. So please don't mistake it for that. And it's not it's not a strict caloric diet. But you'll be eating foods that are included in the recipe guide that is given, and just eliminating some of the foods that are common allergens. And then finally, the transition phase, the last 7 days of the program, is when you add in a different type of food one day at a time. And this is just to see if you have any type of reactions in your body. You're journaling, you're writing down what you're experiencing, and then you can actually continue on with that transition period if it's something that you feel like you need a little bit more time to figure out what foods do and don't work for you. And then finally, what is included? There's a lot included in this program. I'm tailoring it specific to you, to athletes. So you get an athlete clean eating guide. There's a recipe guide that has over 60 recipes. You get daily email support. There's a clean eating at a glance, so you can just look at a day-by-day overview for the entire program, a shopping list, a food diary, so you can keep track of how you're feeling throughout the program, a private Facebook group, and this is used for support and a place to ask questions. I'll be giving tips, and then I'll be giving 2 webinars as well for support. So the program kickoff and then the wrap-up call. So if you're not able to make those, the recordings will still be sent out. And then finally, tons of bonus handouts. So Fuel Your Body for Optimal Performance this year. Join my Clean Eating for Athletes program today. And what I'm offering for all of you who are on the webinar and for those who have registered and who will be listening to the recording, the investment is $97. It's what I'm offering. If you reserve your spot within the next 72 hours is a bonus where you get one-on-one time with me, 30 minutes, either during the program or if you want help in the transition phase. Typically when I'm offering this with one-on-one clients, my rate's a lot higher when I work with individuals. So I want to be sure that I'm offering you for taking the time out if you sign up in the next 72 hours to spend a little bit more one-on-one time with me. I'll still be in the Facebook group answering questions there as well. But I know sometimes people need a little bit more one-on-one support. So the offer expires at midnight on Saturday, January 9th. And then finally, if you are looking for individual coaching services, I have limited spots available for that. But if you're looking for, I specialize in the half and full Ironman distances. So if you're looking for a coach for that, if you need a little bit of support this year, reach out to me. My email is Courtney@wholewellnessforlife.com. I do offer 30-minute strategy sessions where I talk with potential clients. We get to know each other and see if we'll be a good fit for each other. And then I'm also offering add-on nutrition and health coach services for anyone as well. So I just want to thank you all for, again, taking the time out of your busy schedules. We're under an hour, kept it under an hour, so you can go off and relax, hopefully a little bit before you get to bed. Thank you for attending. I hope you got some good information out of this. And you know what? I actually forgot to put my offer up here, so I'm going to load it for you. If you didn't get to write down my link. If you look in the right-hand corner and you click on offers, you can just click to that now. Clean Eating for Program, register now. You just click on that button. It takes you to my website where you can actually purchase there. You won't actually get the program right away. You'll get it in a couple weeks, but you'll reserve your spot to get your one-on-one session with me and for the program. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email me at Courtney@wholewellnessforlife.com. You can respond to the replay email that you'll be getting in a couple hours. And also, as a thank you for signing up and attending the webinar, you'll be getting an attachment that, or I guess it's just a link that you click on in the email that you'll get in a couple hours, where you can download my Clean Eating for Athletes intro guide. So that's my free gift for you. And I really appreciate you taking the time. I'm going to be doing more webinars this year. I'm branching out, trying to go into the online world. So I'm very excited, and let's rock 2016. I hope to hear from you all soon, and have a wonderful evening. Have a great night. Bye.